next speaker is Ganesh. Next year you cannot become the speaker anymore. Who don't know Ganesh? You all don't know Ganesh, so a lot of you know who Ganesh is. You all know, I don't want to go explaining his background. That he says here, Ganesh is a handsome young man, still available. So I don't want to say all that. So if you know Ganesh, I don't have to introduce him. So Ganesh, you got 10 minutes. If you don't mind, do the background. Great.
That's not an easy job to do. Anyway, good morning everybody. Good morning everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the organizers, Joel, for organizing Youth 09. As most of you may know, this is the second time I'm speaking at this event. Next year, as Roslan rightly pointed out, I can't speak anymore. So anyway, when Joel actually asked me to speak at this event, I said, I've already told all my stories last year, what am I going to tell this year? You know? But they said I'm back by popular demand. I wish the girls thought I was popular as well. I'm back by popular demand, so I guess I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing. They asked me to talk on MOL, or which we've recently rebranded as Money Online. But I think all of you heard that story last year, those of you who came. Anyway, the story is in the book Go for Broke and also in the magazine. So I'm not going to talk about MOL so much. I'm going to relate a bit on what's happening to the world today. As most of you know, of course, we have been told many times. Today, I counted 3 or 4 times we're told that the world is getting into an economic crisis. And I'd like to relate what that means for business. A few days ago, if you guys have been reading the newspapers, you guys would have heard that Satyam, the chairman of Satyam Ramalingam Raju, actually resigned. And because he admitted for overstating profits, and these were not small numbers, he overstated profits by over billions. I think it was 1 point something billion US dollars, not ringgit, US dollars. And he was forced to resign because of that. The market cap of Satyam is actually one of the most established outsourcing companies in the world, with customers such as World Bank was their customers. The market cap of Satyam dropped from over 5 or 7 billion US dollars to just 500 million US dollars. You guys may think, what, 500 million US is still a big company. But if you relate to that, if you invested 70,000 ringgit in Satyam, you would be left with 5,000 ringgit. Right? So that was a huge drop, and I think the whole world was quite surprised, including me. However, when I think back, I'm actually not that surprised. You see, about a year ago, Satyam actually has this chain of cyber cafes called CFI Infoway. I think there are a few thousand cyber cafes in India. So I went to talk to them last year, and if I remember correctly, they were quite egoistic. You know, they had this ego to them, and they were like, you know, we've got a few thousand outlets, etc. And they were asking for terms that were very hard to negotiate. And we said, we understand you have a few thousand outlets. We also have a few thousand outlets here. And I mentioned them, you know, we are working with 7-Eleven in Malaysia as a brand name. And these guys actually look at me, 7-Eleven? Did you guys start it after September 11? So now, if that is not thick, I don't know what is thick like. Right? So then I look back and I'm actually not that surprised that happened. But then if you look back and see, how did such a thing happen? How did billions of dollars or billions of ringgit, I think it was 1.5 billion US dollars, how was that overstated? PwC was the auditors. It was quite PwC, as you all know, are one of the big 5, right? And not only did they overstate profits, those of you who are doing accounting, you know the word creative accounting. It's quite easy to actually overstate profits, right? But not only did they overstate profits, but they also they overstated cash balances in the bank. How do you overstate cash balances in the bank? Right? But that actually happened. And if you look back, why does that happen? How does that happen? It actually starts when you build your company. It starts from your business plan. Now, if any of you, I'm sure most of you may know how to write business plans, right? And if you look at a component of a business plan, one is your business component, what you're going to do, how you're going to start your business, your marketing plan, etc. And another part of it is the financials, right? How much profit you're going to make in your first year, in your second year, in your third year. And do you know 90% of time, your financials, you do not meet your financials, right? Another part of the business plan, and this is a part of the business plan that I see every day, exit strategy, IPO in 18 to 24 months, right? 90% of business plans I've seen, especially in the IT sector, talk about IPOing their company, right? So the thing is, when you want to IPO a company, you start your business, you go out and convince investors to invest in your business. And the thing that is most compelling to investors is your financial part. How much profit are you going to make in your second year, in your third year? And 90% of the time, you're not going to achieve those profits. So what do you do? What do you do? You've convinced your investors to invest. So you tend to sell out parts of the company or parts of the business to actually meet your financial targets. So I'd like to bring up this concept now of a company and a business. A business is what you do, the cash coming in every day. A company is what you actually show to the public. And most of the time is your press releases and your financials, right? So what happened in Satam is because they did an IPO and they convinced their investors to invest, and he gave some financial projections for his IPO, he actually had to constantly start creating numbers, and because of that, he forgot about the business, but rather he was building just a company of financial numbers, right? So, and I think he also forgot his targets. Now, relating to the MOL business, as many of you know, I started MOL in the year 2000. I listed the company in the year 2003, and I privatized the company this year. You see, when I started the company, I did the same thing. I had my business plan and my financial numbers, and by the end of the first year, I was supposed to be break even. Second year, I was supposed to make a bit of money. Third year, I was supposed to make 3 million. Based on that, we did the IPO, right? And of course, you know, when you start a business, half the time your targets are not met. And similarly, I myself did not meet my targets. So what I had to do, the original business of the company was the ML Cyber Cafes business model. So this Cyber Cafe business model is where we wanted to give away our Cyber Cafe management system for free. In return, we get the first page on the screens of all these Cyber Cafes. And then we would then actually get advertising. However, that was at the time the .com bubble burst, and we were not able to get advertising. So we changed our business model to payment systems, collecting cash for online transactions, and we rolled out the ML points micro-payment system. And we slowly scaled down, I think from 20 people focusing on the Cyber Cafe software, we scaled it down to 5. And slowly, it practically just died down. Our e-points model did well, and because of that, we managed to do an IPO. However, I would say that about 2 years ago, when the internet company actually came to talk to us, a big internet company, starting with the letter Y, actually came to talk to us to buy the company, what they were most interested in was that Cyber Cafe software. Yes, they were interested in what we were doing at that time, but they would have valued us a lot more if I actually stick to my original business model, which I did not do because I focused on the short-term component of making money. So I guess the thing that I would like to say is always focus on your business model. Don't change it. You can change it to make it better, but you must always remember what you started off with and what your plans are, even if the financial numbers don't meet in the short term, because 90% of the time, the financial numbers are not going to meet in the short term. The second mistake I made was, after I IPO'd the company, when I was 23, we committed, I think in our profit projections, we committed something like 3 million of profit. However, we could not meet those numbers just based on the MLE points business model. So I had to sell country rights to licensees basically. So I think we collected about 3-4 million ringgit by selling country rights of the annual business model to about 5-6 countries. What happened next was the operators in those countries couldn't operate it well. It didn't roll out well, right? Although I collected the cash up front. And again, when the internet company, the big internet company actually came to see us, they said, you're only in Malaysia and your international operations have not been doing that well, right? So that was the second mistake that I actually made. This is where I sold the business to actually make my company look good. So we should always focus on building business, not just building companies. So what we had to do then was we actually had to privatize, or we privatized. We didn't have to privatize the company, but we privatized the company because we felt it would actually be better if we took it private and then built the company. One of my biggest achievements in my life was I built my company at the age of 23 and becoming the youngest CEO of a public listed company in Malaysia. Last year I had to make a decision to actually privatize the company, like taking back your achievements. But we did it. And since privatizing the company, we grew the company, we took back the original licenses, and from a turnover, at that time when we were listed, we were doing a turnover of something like 30 million ringgit. Today, 1.5 years after listing, my last year turnover was 250 million ringgit. We have grown the company in the span of 1 year from just 15,000 channels in Malaysia, payment channels in Malaysia. Today, we have over 540,000 payment channels across 75 countries. So, what I've learned and what I'd like to share is always focus on building the business. When I was running a listed company, I was focusing on building the company. I get it. Right? So, coming. 2 more minutes. Okay. I was focused on building the company, not the business. But after privatizing it, in 1 year, I managed to do a lot more than what I did in the past 6 years. So I guess that's what I'd like to share with you. I'd like to end today, since this is going to be my last time speaking in Youth 08, Youth 09, Youth Convention. I'd like to end today by sharing a saying from Steve Jobs with you guys. And I think this is one of the most important sayings. If you guys go back to Steve Jobs' speech, you guys can see where it came from. And the saying is, stay hungry, stay foolish, build businesses for the future. Thank you.